The music can only mean one thing. Hi everyone, it's good to see you all. It's a new show. Unfortunately, again, it is just me. I was really hoping you new folks would be able to meet Sonia. A huge bummer that Sonia can't make it on this week. She's dealing with some more technical issues, so it's just me this week. But rest assured, we are going to have a decent show, I think. Yeah, we're going to be talking about BTK this week. We're going to be talking about some other stuff that's happened in the last week with different trials and whatnot. Those of you who caught my trial coverage from the Parkland shooter, you already know a little bit about what we're going to be getting into. But yeah, BTK is the main topic of discussion. And then I think we're going to get into some other topics as well. I'm very excited. I'm very glad to be here on November 5th. Can you guys believe it's already November? You know, it feels like I woke up this morning and it was 75 degrees. Oh, that's because here in Pennsylvania, I woke up this morning and it was 75 degrees. It has been very weird weather patterns here in the East Coast, as I'm sure many of you guys know. But places like Utah, man, they're already getting snow. So let's get right into the topic of BTK. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with BTK, and I can't imagine you're not, right? You'd have to be living under a rock. Dennis Rader was the BTK Strangler. BTK stood for bind, torture, and kill, because of course it did. At a young age, Dennis knew that he had some strange fantasies. He knew there were some pretty wacky things that he was into. And he did his best to hide these sort of feelings that he had. You know, he did his best to hide all of these fantasies that he wanted to fulfill for quite a long time. I think 1974. No, yes, 1974. Right at the height of 1974 is when he began his foray into crime. Now he had a very particular MO that the police didn't always outline in their discussions. Right? The police always keep some things away from the media. They always keep some things away, just in case they interview a suspect who knows something only the killer knows, or if somebody incriminates themselves. I need a better light on that there. Um, So let's get right into it with the story of the first victim. So January 15th, 1974, Joseph, who's 39, Julia, who's 33, Joseph Jr., who's 9, and Josephine, who are 11. This is the Otero family, and they were the first victims of the BTK. Basically, what he did in the early mornings, after he had seemingly stalked them for some period of time, he had snuck into the garage. And as Joseph Jr. was off to school, he pulled a gun out and told Joseph Jr. basically, hey, we're going to go back inside. Now, he told the family, if you comply, you'll live. He told the family that this was just a robbery, that he wanted all they had and not their lives, basically. And of course, the family at this point believed him because they had no reason to not. They had no reason at this point to not believe that this wasn't just some sort of robbery. So he tied them up and he would suffocate all of them. He then began having happy, fun solo time in a corner and left some seed on the floor. Now, that is very pivotal, and that's very important, as despicable as it may be. Oh, great cigar. Great cigar. I'm trying to enjoy the cigar less, not having co-hosts. I have to talk more, but I had the cigar already prepared and I didn't want to throw it out because it is very much an exclusive cigar. Um, but so this family in 1974 were his first victims, and at this point in time, the investigators had no idea who this was. They had assumed that it was someone who had some sort of feud with this family. They weren't thinking serial killer. They weren't thinking that it was anything more than, that. But they knew right away that it certainly wasn't a robbery. And the reason that they were able to connect that it was no robbery is, of course, when you're dealing with a robbery, you would think things would be missing, the home would be ransacked. Dennis Rader did not even try to make it look like a robbery. As I said, he suffocated these four people and then he uh, pleasured himself in a corner, Uh, yes, that is a good point. So he did end up taking a watch, I believe, off of Joseph Jr. So the reason, Sonia, with the great, great co host work from a land far, far away, he did take a watch, but that was the only thing that he took, and it wasn't a watch of value. This is because, as we'll learn later, Dennis Rader liked taking trophies. It's not something that's particularly uncommon with serial killers and with people who commit these kinds of crimes. Like a lot of them take trophies, um, varying degrees. Like John Wayne Gacy used to like take pictures and shit. But he also had bodies underneath his basement, So John Wayne Gacy was taking the whole body as a trophy. Now he would sort of not do anything for a while. Dennis, he had actually gotten married a little bit before the first crime had occurred, which leads you to wonder, like, how is he able to separate, uh, his life from this? I would say multiple personalities. We'll get a little bit more into that a little bit down the line, that he may have had some multiple personalities going on. Um, so April 4th, 1974, Catherine Bright, who's 21, returned home with her younger brother Kevin, who's 19. They were welcomed by Rader, who again claimed that this was just a robbery, and he told them again, if you comply, you will live. And they were tied up, they were gagged, and Kevin actually was taken into a second room, and he tried to fight back, and he was shot twice for his troubles. However, he managed to survive and escape. By the time he was able to get help, however, Catherine had already been choked. She had already been stabbed 3 times. But Dennis didn't wear a mask. And so there were descriptions. Kevin was able to exit the house. He was able to find, I think they were either people that were walking by or people that were bicycling by, and he was able to give the authorities a description. However, this description did not go. He went to the neighbor and called the police. Thank you, Sonia. Again, this description didn't really go anywhere. So once again, we get into that whole thing where you have to ask yourself, right? He's changed his MO a little bit. He's gone from just carrying a gun and not using it to he actually stabbed the victim. Um, so in October 1974, this is the first time that he would contact the papers. This is actually the first time that he would call himself BTK. A lot of killers are penned like by the newspapers. This is, the Boston Strangler. This is, whatever you may have. Like the Zodiac titled himself, BTK did the same thing. And BTK once again stood for bind, torture, and kill. Once again, this going back to his fantasies of like bondage and hardcore like shit. a show that does a really good job sort of showing Dennis Rader, and unfortunately the show hasn't had its next season. It's been on hold for a lot of years, is Mindhunter. If you guys have never seen Mindhunter on Netflix, I think you'd really be interested in it. There are some clips of someone who is seemingly going to play Dennis Rader. Um, Before contacting the police, they had three suspects in mind, and Radar was furious. Yes, so once again, Sonia doing some great journalism here on the side. The co host who could not make the show, thank you for watching, helping Sonia. Yeah, basically, he didn't want other people taking credit for the crime. So there were three people who were currently locked up for the crimes, and I'm not 100% sure if they knew that the crimes were connected yet. But there were three people in custody for the crime. So, of course, those three people were let out. Um, Now, once again, he sent this letter and he detailed the crimes. But at this point, the uh, the Otero families hadn't been connected to the Brights, and in the paperwork that he sent out. Joe, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Joe, my boss. By the way, Joe, you haven't seen. I am up. It's going out. Goddamn. I am enjoying a nice cigar with this week's show. But so what would end up happening is he would write what happened with the Otero family, but he didn't include anything as far as the Bright, and that is important for later. He did not take responsibility for the Bright crime, and many people hypothesize that this is because it was like there was an accident, like someone survived. Um, yeah. Once again, he did sign the letter, BTR or BTK rather. Yes, yes, getting prepped for this week's event in store. So he actually managed to not kill people for a pretty substantial amount of time. So from 1974 to 1977, he didn't do anything. Now, Dunbarton land, and that's the event. So, March 17th, 1977, Shirley Vivian Relford, who's 21, would be attacked in her home with her three kids. Again, he had said this is a robbery and that you won't be harmed if you comply. So he basically told her, your kids won't be harmed. And this is the first time that he kept the promise. He locked the children in a closet. He did intend to kill them as well, as he would later talk about in interviews. But he had to leave the area after he suffocated Shirley. And I forget now why he had to leave the area. Yeah, so really quick cigar talk, because we are sort of just having a good time this show. It's educational, but we're also talking about current events. So yeah, the same person who does the stuff for Liga, and I guess we're not allowed to do promotion much, so I have to be very careful how I word this. But one of their master blenders basically jumped over and created his own company, and then another guy went with him, and that's Dunbarton. So if you've never had Dunbarton Landon, the kids were locked in a bathroom, not a closet. Okay, all right, Sonia, Jesus, maybe if you showed up for the show, maybe if you were allowed to show up for the show, Sonia, you'd be able to correct me on air. But I will say, at least I'm doing research. It might not be 100% accurate, but at least I'm doing it. So yes, tomato. But he did say later that he was going to kill these kids, which is interesting. I do not have their ages. Maybe Sonia and her uh, research was able to find the ages for the kids. I couldn't. I was told that she's 21, so I assumed they were at least all under 5, which is really morbid. Which is really morbid to think about, that this guy was plotting the murder of 3 children as well as the mother. So December 8th, 1977. So once again, a hell of a time period between March and December. Uh, Nancy Fox, who's 25, is killed by BTK, who suffocated her with her own nylon stockings. He then called the murder in. So he actually reported the murder to the police, which once again is not like his previous MO. Another thing that's different about this particular case is he committed this crime at night. All of the other crimes had been early morning or daytime. This is the first crime that he committed at night, which a lot of people are like, wow, why would you do this? And to my knowledge, he's never said why he changed up, but he did. He murdered Nancy at night and he called it in to the police as well. So, wasting no time, right? In January of 1978, he sent a letter to a TV station, and this was basically because he wanted attention. He wanted to be back in that media sort of spiral, and he wasn't. The media were not talking to him, talking about him. They hadn't talked about the serial killer of Wichita. And the thing about it is, of course, a lot of these guys crave attention. So the parallels that I draw, just because I'm interested in both of the cases, are BTK and the Zodiac, of course, for two major reasons. Number one, uh, BTK probably would have gotten away with everything. He probably would have gotten away with everything. Oh, what's Sonya have? Yes. He wrote, how many, I think I have this written down somewhere. Yes. He did say, quote, how many people do I have to kill before I get my name in the paper or some national attention? So once again, he was very interested in having that attention on him. So much so that later, when wow, we have a Manchester, England. That's pretty far from me. I'm not sure what a spliff is. If it's a cigar, yes. Uh, I apologize. I'm not certain of the lingo. Um, so in February 1978, he would send another letter to the Wichita Eagle with a poem that he connected "Ode Death to Nancy." Nancy Fox, of course, being the last victim that he had had. And he also mentioned, this is the first time that he mentioned what he called Factor X. Um, and what he talked about with Factor X is, it is a cigar. Yes, then it is. This is a cigar. This is from the Dunbarton, which is a great brand. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, to be honest with you. I don't know what the rules are with Facebook and promoting. I don't think that's promoting. I'm just answering what it is. But so I really don't have time to enjoy it is the problem. Being on air by myself this week is rough. Thanks, Sonia. um, so Factor X is basically the best way that I can describe it. Basically, like his second personality. So Factor X is something that makes his second personality come out. Now, I don't know if it's like the media, but this is how he's described it. I know, Sonia. I know it's okay. We'll get it figured out. But he talks about it. Now, then he also took credit for 7 of the killings, which this is the first time that includes Catherine Bright from earlier. Catherine Bright's brother is the one who escaped. So before he hadn't taken responsibility for that murder. Now he is. So thank you. Actually, Joe, that's a fantastic idea. Um, Yeah. Joe's here doing a WWE style promo. Um, oh no, Joe's saying, "Do you want me to hop in and do a WWE style promo?" Joe, I would love that, but unfortunately, you're at the shop, and I don't know what the rules are with that either. Um, so April 28th, 1979, he planned to kill a woman named Anna Williams. I don't have her age down. Maybe Sonia took that down. She was returning home late. And because she returned home so late, BTK had gotten bored and left. But he would send her a letter including a scarf that he stole from her. And the letter said, quote, "Be glad you weren't home because I was." Now, this is one of those deals. Yeah, no, no, no. Um, I understand that. I understand that it's just one personality, 100%. But what I'm saying is when he talked about Factor X, and I actually think there's a name for what he called like the being that was doing the crimes, he almost had like a Son of Sam type gimmick going on where yes, while it was one personality, it's almost as though he had this secondary scapegoat for probably an insanity plea if he was ever caught. Of course, we know that that wouldn't work, but how taunting that has to be that he sent a letter to this woman saying, "Be glad you weren't home because I was." That lady had to have been just absolutely terrified. Like he not only did that, but he returned. There you go. Multiple personality disorder is a myth created by the defense counsel. I mean, 100%. You're 100% accurate with that. It's a way to get that insanity plea. It's a way to get less charges. As we'll talk about a little bit later when I get into things more so current in the news. I'm sure a lot of you guys followed Darnell Brooks, which we may get into if we have time. And I'm sure a lot of you guys followed Nick Cruz, who was, of course, the Parkland shooter here in the States. Their trials both wrapped up earlier this month. We may talk about that if I have time, but we might not if I don't have time. It depends on how I'm feeling when we get through this. So in April 1985, once again, a pretty decent. It's not in DSM-5. When we get to like 1979, we once again have a pretty big jump because his next attack doesn't happen until 1985. But this is the most bold attack that Dennis Rader would commit. This is against his neighbor. Her name is Maureen Hedge. She was 53. After he would suffocate her, he would take her to his church where he posed her and took pictures, and those were his keepsakes from this particular crime. So, if you remember earlier, we talked about how he kept a gold watch from one of the first victims. He's now he's now becoming bolder, right? He killed a neighbor, and now he's taking pictures, and he would later take the body from the church and he would dump her underneath a nearby bridge. So a year later, in September of 1986, and this lady's name I cannot pronounce. I'm going to call her Vicky W for simplicity. Yeah, 7 miles in a ditch, which was by a bridge. She was found strangled once again using stalking. So once again, this is his gimmick, BTK, bind, torture, kill. This is very much so his gimmick. This is what he does. He takes these people, he strangles them, he suffocates them, he kills them. Most of the time, he suffocates them with their own clothing or what have you. Of course, once again, we've come a long way from the first case where he used a bag. So the next victim is the oldest victim that he would attack. Or, sorry, I have something else. In 1987, he would send a letter basically stating that he hadn't killed the Fagel family. Now, this family here. No, no, no. Once again, I'm not. Yes. I understand that there hasn't been a killer diagnosed with multiple personality disorder, but once again, I am simply going off of what his own description is. I am not trying to say that this is what he has. I am not trying to say that, he wasn't the person who did these things. I am simply, in his own words, this is what he had talked about himself in his later interviews where he had talked about this Factor X and other things. But no, I agree with you 100%. Respect, I understand. Thank you. I appreciate it. So Dolores Davis, who is 62, she's the oldest victim. Um, she was killed January 19th, 1991. So once again, 87 to 1991, pretty decent amount of time. And once again, this woman was dumped in a ditch, I think also by a bridge. Yeah, anytime, Hoss. I appreciate you. Um, she was killed with her own pantyhose, which once again, like very much a BTK thing. BTK was Dennis Rader, the BTK Strangler, was very much he didn't change up how he did things often. Um, yeah, no, of course. A lot of these folks, when you're dealing with true crime, a lot of these folks lie. But the thing is, with the BTK, right? When he would get into his interviews and when he would send these letters, I mean, he was very detailed with everything that he said and did. And, he's one of the serial killers, right? That we're lucky because he was caught. And we are able, because of sort of his testimony, we're able to pick the brain of these kind of people. Now, of course, what the hell are you talking about, Joe? Um, Okay, you've worked for 40. Wow, Jesus. That's a hell of a field. Well, we're glad that we have a professional aboard watching our program then. I appreciate it so much. Um, so in March of 2004, he would send out another letter, and in this letter he claimed that Vicky was his victim, and he included proof. He would send 10 more videos, including clues, but most of these clues were false leads, as these guys love to do. They love to include false leads, they love to sort of throw you off the scent. As a matter of fact, during investigations for the BTK killer, he was one of the people that was interviewed by the news because Dennis Rader was very much, um, he was very much one of those folks who like wanted to be included in the crime scene, right? Like he wanted to be included in the search. He wanted to be seen. He wanted that national attention, but he didn't want to outwardly come out on the news and say, I'm the guy who did it. He would sort of just show up because he was a I forget what he was in the church. He was pretty high up in his church, and he was also something like a park ranger or something along those lines. I'm sure Sonia has that written down. Landon says, "John, you're bound to be disappointed." Yeah, this show is trust me, I do my best to be journalistic as can be, but I am not the best. Once again, Landon with the throwback to the old show, rated 1 star on all podcasting platforms. He was a Boy Scout leader as well, but what was his job, Sonia? Because he did something where it made sense for him. I want to say it was like a park ranger or something like that. Where's Scott at? I don't know where Scott is at, Joe. I'm very disappointed though, because this is right up his alley. He enjoys these kinds of shows, Scott. Um, Landon may be getting on with us at some point here, but I don't know. Landon, what's your looking like here? Yeah, so he was a park ranger. He did have multiple jobs. Thank you. No, I understand 100%. So I actually did the other day. I watched the last part of the trial. So they split testimony into 2 days. So here's my take on Nick Cruz. Once again, Nick Cruz, for those of you guys that don't know, 2018 or 2019, he went into a Parkland high school in Florida, and he killed 17 people, injured 17 more. His actions, his shooting would cause, I think, 3 people to commit suicide, and of course, he would damage mentally thousands of people. PTSD and all of those types of things. My take on that is that he should have gotten the death penalty. You know, the defense did their job. He got the plea bargain, right? He pleaded guilty, and in a lot of cases, that's all you need to do. You plead guilty, and they'll take murder off the table, or they'll plead, lethal injection off the table. In my opinion, he should have been killed. That's the victims' families will never have the closure, and that's something they talked about a lot in their testimonies, how they'll never have that closure until he's dead. And yeah, so Landon says, I don't know shit about BTK. Well, when you get home, I sent you a link, so you better hop on. I don't know how far out you are. Trail by combat. One of the testimonies from the Nick Cruz trail, the guy, I think it was one of the mothers, she said that if the justice system worked, they would each be given a shot, and the 17 families would all be able to take a shot, and the last person who got the gun would be able to finish him off. And that to me is like fucking bold. They got away. They said a lot of stuff in court that you normally can't say. The judge allowed all of the profanities. The judge allowed all of the anger and aggression, because this is something that these folks have been waiting for justice for 4.5 years. Sonia says Rader worked at a company where two of his victims work. He studied criminal justice. He worked for ADT Home Security Company, and he was a compliance officer. So compliance officer is what I was talking about. The ADT, yes, he did install, which is once again fucking the humanity of that. BTK would install like those cameras for home protection. That isn't the law. It has to go into penalty phase, 100%. Yeah, no. I understand. With respect, I understand. So Joe says, do him like they did Mussolini. I mean, there were a lot during the testimony, right? The victims and friends and living victims got to speak, and it was a very intense 2 days in the trial. And of course, the judge would give her final statements, and they would give the official sentencing. And I think it was something like 34 final counts. The one thing that the judge did do, because I understand that the jury are the ones who said we're not going to give him the death penalty, but we'll give him life. The judge took away all of his commissary, so he'll never have that any pleasant thing as long as he's in prison. And on top of that, she hit him with something called the Son of Sam Code or something like that, which I didn't know was a thing until this case. And basically what that means is he can't sell his story and make money off of it. Sounds like they should call it the O.J. Simpson, but who am I? Who am I to disagree? He'll never eat Snickers or watch the Golden Girls again. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like your commissary gets taken away. He's not going to have deodorant. He's not going to have like little pleasures that we out here take for granted. They have to pay for everything. And he will not have that, because until he pays for all of the court's all of the money that the court lost, he will not have access to commissary. So unless some major asshole pays his debt for him, which I won't rule out, because there's always that guy, he's fucked. He's never going to see commissary. But what are your guys' takes on Nick Cruz? Like what do you guys think could have been done or should have been done? And John here says that he liked the judge. Yeah, did you guys enjoy the judge? I thought the judge did a great job. Once again, Darnell Brooks was in the same boat. Darnell Brooks. Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, I have a treat for you. I have a treat. Landon Wells. Landon, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh God, here we go already with the technical issues. Are you?
Can you hear me now?
He is. Yes.
I was saying I don't know if this is a treat or a punishment, but either way.
Well, listen, it's good to have you because it'll allow me to finish out the hour. Fuck, we'll probably go 2 hours now. But
well, you said cigar. I had to come running, so
yeah,
I've got me a nice Liga Ratzilla.
Nice.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong with the Ratzilla. Oh, I'm sure it's already, dude. It's already out there.
That's the thing. There's always guys who are sympathetic. There's always guys who are sympathetic for these guys, you know. So, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if some asshole just goes and pays off his commissary. Again, respectfully, he obviously didn't get a toss. Didn't give a toss about the victims. No, 100%. I don't think he gave a damn about the victims, and I don't think that they should give a damn about him. I'm not trying to imply that. But what I am, of course, saying is I mean, he's going to serve out the rest of his time, the rest of his life in misery. And as one of the victims' parents said under their testimony, you know, prison justice is a bitch, and if there's anything those prisoners hate, man, it's a kid abuser, and in this case, a kid killer. And I think that his time in prison in Gen Pop is going to be a real fucking doozy of a time.
Or are they going to put him in Gen Pop?
I believe so. I believe he's going to Gen Pop.
See, I thought he'd be in isolation the rest of his life.
See, that's the thing. He's been this whole 4.5 years that they've waited for this shit to happen.
Yeah.
He's been in maximum security. He's no longer in maximum security. And one of the parents, who I think is a prosecutor out of New York, he basically said, when you get to prison, you're going to be sold. You're going to be someone's bitch. Like I said, there were things said during this testimony that I don't think you can say in court, but the judge allowed it because this is 4 years that these victims' families have been watching this fucking monster, you know, and I mean, that's what he is. He's a monster. But we should probably get back to the BTK conversation. We're almost at the end. We're almost at the end of BTK. Then we can talk about whatever the fuck we want. So, by the way, once again, I would like to take this time to make fun of Sonia because Landon can get in and you can't. Landon is on and you are not, and this is very hurtful to my heart. There's an error happening, Landon. She can't get on because there's an error.
Yeah,
you think it's bullshit? You think she's lying to me?
You got scammed, my friend.
Let's see here. Your legal system is based on McNaughton rules. Based on laws, he won't go in Gen Pop. But see, once again, our court system is so weird like that he very well may. He very well may. I mean, look, it's not the easy bet. It's not the easy assumption to assume that he'll go into Gen Pop, but it's never, you know, especially if you're looking at other violent offenders. You know, we don't look. I don't know how Florida's prison system works. You know,
are they keeping him in Florida?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I would assume so.
Well, sometimes they move people out, especially if they're like max security people. They move them to different.
Yeah, places. But that's what I don't think he is max security. Yeah. He may have heightened security, but I don't think he's max security. But once again, as we saw with the great Epstein, how safe are you? How safe are you? They should put him in K-pop. Yeah, send him over to fight the battle in Ukraine. That'll be our relief. It's not a court decision. Okay, yeah. Listen, John. Once again, you've been very kind. I am an idiot, and I want to be very honest with you. I am no figure. I get into this stuff because I like true crime, because I'm fascinated by why these people do these things. But I am an idiot. I am not a judge. I am not a lawyer. I sell cigars for a living. You know, I am the least knowledgeable person in this field, but I do my best. I think that's important. Or is that cruel and unusual? Well, Christ, here's the thing though. You're entitled to a quick and speedy trial, both for the victims and, of course, the monster. This is 5 years. That's not quick and speedy. Christ, the people who he victimized would be turning 25, you know? It's just once again, we probably have to get back to the BTK conversation. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, John. You're being very kind. I appreciate that. But John, how did you find us? Did someone share us to you? Did you just stumble across us? Are you one of Landon's bits? Is this a bit? I have no idea, because he's from Manchester, England, and like our audiences this is a brand new audience. Like I don't know.
I shared to some groups that are pretty UK heavy, so.
Oh, okay. Maybe he.
So maybe he found it through there.
It horrified me. My show horrified you, or what he did horrified you? Probably both.
Probably. All right, finish up your BTK shit.
Well, who are you? What are you telling me how to do my show now?
Yeah. See, you got to have a co-host to keep you on track.
In March, oh please, I've never needed a co-host. It's just better to have, so I can take my time to smoke. So, uh, he sent several letters in 2004. He sent 10 messages, including clues, mostly false. He then asked the police if a floppy disk could be traced. And this is where the very smart BTK, because he was intelligent, he was a monster, but he was intelligent. The police, of course, said no. Well, of course, they lied to him. They were like, fuck, this guy's going to send us a floppy disk. So he did. He sent them a floppy disk. They were able to dig into it. And of course, they were able to find all of his information. So then they went to his daughter. They used her DNA
Yep.
to basically provide this sample. And of course, in doing that, they found out, oh, he's the killer. So they would apprehend him. And in February of 2005, he was arrested. He is serving 10 life sentences. Why didn't Dennis Rader get death? Once again, every state's a little different, and I don't know if Kansas has the death penalty.
Is
I
he
would
in Kansas? I
assume,
thought he was in jail in Colorado.
but his crimes were Wichita.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
But
don't. He may
I think he's housed up in Colorado.
he may be, but that's the whole thing. Is a lot of these guys do get sent like
Oh yeah, they
fucking.
get shit all over.
There's somebody, some serial killer, and I don't remember who. Their neighbor, like their neighboring cells, it's some serial killer and then the Unabomber. Like they're right
Yes,
next to each other.
they're in Colorado. I think this is who I'm talking
Is
about
it
right here.
BTK who's the
Yeah,
Unabomber? That's
yeah.
that's wild.
I'm pretty
God,
sure
that's
that's
wild.
who I'm talking about
You
because I
know,
remember that exact story.
once again, and when me and Landon, we make jokes about these things, but we aren't making light of the crimes or of their victims or anything like that. But when you think about shit like that, doesn't it remind you of like Batman? Like I met the Joker's right next to fucking Two-Face in the cell. They're
Yeah.
just sitting there playing fucking chess or whatever with each other.
Oh, traced it back to his church. Even better. Even better.
But the reason that it was traced back, but it was traced back directly to him. I know that, yeah. Um, yeah, once again, I assume that was your question: is why didn't he get the death penalty? And once again, my guess, and Sonia, if you want to make yourself useful while you're not on air, if you want to look up
Ooh.
if Kansas, I have to roast Sonia now.
Ooh.
If you want to look up why he didn't get the death penalty, that would be nice. Do you think they share stories? I don't know. Like I don't know how the prisons work. Like I don't know if they're able to communicate. Like I wouldn't assume so.
No.
But you can't live in silence. Like like they we learned from Alcatraz they don't do that anymore. And we know for a fact that the Unabomber has like a computer that he plays chess with people on. So like how like fuck these guys get to prison and they're given an iPad and live out the rest of their life with Wi-Fi. Like this is what I'm talking about. Because if you remember when we talked on the last show, we talked about the Tylenol killers and that they went to the dude's door because he played chess unknowingly with the Unabomber all the time online. Two serial killers would be a great podcast host. Listen,
Hey, I'd be down to listen to that.
It's one of those things where it's like it's a joke, but like at some point these prisons are going to set something like that up.
Oh yeah,
they have to, or like because they release tapes every once in a while because people still interview these people. Like you can still BTK does interviews every couple of years. Ed Kemper still does interviews. Like they release these tapes and people are interested. Fuck, imagine if they did that long form. The Unabomber was a Fruit Loop. I like this guy. John, you're a nice guy. You're a fun guy. You don't have to respect the Unabomber.
I was about to say, very disrespectfully, yeah. I agree with that.
He's being respectfully to us. But yeah, you don't have to show respect to the Unabomber.
I was about to say, nobody's respected us in our whole lives, John. So it's okay.
Just wait until
Netflix. Wait, here we go. Just for John.
The Landon and Dylan. Oh. Star on podcast platform.
There you go. Told you 1 star, baby. All right, keep going. Sorry.
Landon says, wait until Netflix gets their own private prison.
Oh my God.
God. Well, that's the thing though. Netflix makes such a I was gonna say a killing. You can't, that's in poor taste. You can't say that. Netflix Netflix does a lot of business based off of these serial killers, and sometimes it's in better taste than others. Like sometimes they do like make these serial killers seem innocent or like nice people.
But
Like,
they really didn't dive into that, bro, until Making a Murderer. Like
yeah,
that's I think the first time they realized, like, oh
was
shit, there's a
he?
lot of money in this.
But he was innocent though. What at the time wasn't he innocent, or is he not innocent? I never
Dude, I've
watched.
I've watched like the 2 or 3 seasons they have out, and I still don't know if he's
Yeah,
innocent.
I never watched that one. I watch, of course, Mindhunter, which I think everyone should
Mm,
watch. If you've never watched Mindhunter, you definitely should,
yeah,
because the
that's a great
casting
one.
is fantastic, and I hope they do more seasons.
I hope so too. 'Cause they in the last one they were here, they were in Georgia too.
Well,
They
and
did what was it, Eric Rudolph?
I think so.
Yeah.
But they do a bunch of people. But yeah, the first season is a bunch of people, and then the second season is specifically the Georgia kid killer,
Yeah.
and they were supposed to do another season, and it's been postponed so many times people don't even know if they're doing it.
They
Um,
better.
yeah, I mean, once again, Kemper didn't get the death penalty once again, but that's the whole other thing, right? Is the reason that they don't get the death penalty if they're honest. Like it seems like all the guys who plead guilty and then go to trial and detail how they did it, it seems like none of those guys ever get the death penalty. Like Edmund Kemper, we've been interviewing him, not us, but like in general. They've been interviewing him since the fucking 1960s.
Yeah.
Like to try to learn why these guys do this shit. And is it education that we seek in letting these people live? I don't understand. Look, I'm not always huge into like there's some people that I don't think should get the death penalty, but I think there are some crimes 100% you should get the death penalty. Like
Yeah, I think there's a lot of states and a lot of people that are fighting to get the death penalty gone completely, just for the simple fact of like how many people have been convicted of something
well, there
that
again,
they didn't do. You know what I
it's
mean?
like
How many people
fucking
have been put to death for crimes they didn't commit?
I mean that's true, but that's as much as I hate to say it, I mean that's sort of just casualties of war. You know, like
Yeah,
sometimes the bad guy gets away and the good guys are, you know, not so lucky.
it's that balancing act, right? Of deciding, uh, it's all good in games until you're the one on the
Yeah.
shit end of the stick.
Once again, John here, who has been nothing but factual. John, thank you for being, we're two assholes, but you're a smart man. The death penalty was suspended at that time.
Oh yeah, but even if they admitted to it, I mean, look, there's hundreds of cases a year where people will admit to things that they didn't do because they get forced into it, when
Well,
they're
like
being
look at the
interrogated.
look at the crime bosses who get the like Bugsy Siegel, who once again prison justice being a bit. That's another one. Maximum security has fucking eyeballs ripped out.
Yeah,
Like so, a lot of times you're in maximum security, but they, the guards just sort of let you get fucked anyway, So that's the whole other thing. Like prison justice is its own thing, and I don't think what's happening is always legal and on the up and up. And there's always an investigation.
oh
No
yeah,
one loses their jobs because these guys deserve to die anyway. But once again, going back to the Netflix conversation, like the only one that I can think of that I watched sort of recently where they made the guy seem like the villain he is when they did the thing on the Night Stalker.
yeah,
Richard Ramirez, I
yeah,
think his name was.
yeah.
That one they vilify. I mean, they made him look like a shit, which he is a shit. But I mean, they really, a lot of times they sort of like the Ted Bundy thing. Fuck, there were people who wanted to dig up his corpse and fuck him. They were so horned up over that. Like, how do we fucking allow this as a society? Like, as a
A lot of
society,
money,
how do we
man.
allow? But that's what I'm saying. So with this whole, and once again, I only just learned about it with the Nick Cruz case, this Son of Sam law or whatever, where they can't make any money. It's stopping him from telling his story and making money, but it's not stopping Netflix. I'm sure there's already
Right.
something in the works.
Oh yeah.
Like that I just don't understand how we allow this shit.
Because we keep handing money to Netflix every single month.
Is it but I mean, obviously people watch it. It's not like people don't watch the serial killer shit. Like people love the serial killer.
Oh yeah,
the serial killer
hell
shit.
yeah. It's like
But
top 10, man. Every time it comes out, there's top 5. On Netflix.
yeah. Well, they didn't release him, to be fair. I mean, he lived. They didn't release him. He's still. So this is what happened with Ed Kemper. To the best of my recollection, he went and he was gifted parole. They were going to let him out, and he went to the parole board himself and said, "If you let me out, I'll kill everyone. Like, I'll kill again." And they were like, "Okay, we're not going to give you parole." But they did. They were going to release him. But it's no different. Like fucking the guy, what is it? Hinckley, who shot Reagan. He's out now.
Oh, really?
Any guesses as to where he's living? Any guesses?
Florida.
The lovely state of Pennsylvania. Roll Tide. Oh. So, yeah, fucking Hinckley's walking around, and he's releasing a musical album. Which, why do they all do that, too? They're all big music guys. Fucking Charles Manson and shit.
Music's too easy to make now, dude.
They did really... Kemper's out? No fucking way Kemper's out.
Really?
No, I don't know. I mean, John knows what he's talking about. If John says Kemper's out, Kemper's out. Let me look this up.
At 15, you released the monster. Oh shit, maybe they did. I don't believe it, but maybe. It's crazy.
I mean,
I don't keep up with this type of shit like that to be able to. I don't know.
He was denied parole several times throughout the 80s and 90s. He was last denied a parole hearing in 2017, and he's now eligible for one in 2024. So I don't think Ed Kemper is out, at least according to Google. But unless you mean, was it 2 separate incidents that he was arrested for? Was he arrested for the grandparents before he killed the co-eds?
I think that's what he's trying to say.
Maybe. I don't know. Once again,
he was arrested. They let him out, and then he did more.
Holy shit! I didn't know that. Wow, that's wild. If that's accurate, that's wild. I thought it was all at the same time. Jeez. I thought he had killed the grandparents, and then he had gotten caught for the co-eds, and that's how they knew that it was him. I didn't know that he was put away and then let out again. Wow, that's wild. John, thank you again for keeping the conversation going. John is a fantastic audience member.
John's homie.
He went on to kill 13 people after he killed his grandparents. No, he's not out. Yes, that's accurate. Okay. So there we go. We're trying to make sense of all this. Thank you, John, for being a great.
Yeah. So they arrested him, let him out. He killed 13 more.
And then now he's still doing time. But once again, the fact they would give him parole. But I mean, of course, him saying like, "Hey, if you let me out, I'm going." Like the first thing I'm going to do is kill people. Like, isn't that a Family Guy bit? When they did the thing with Shawshank, remember that Family Guy used to like retell stories?
I don't watch Family Guy.
Oh, see, you'd be the demographic to love Family Guy.
No. I've tried. I can't.
Man.
I like South Park though.
John says sorry. Yes, that's correct. Thank you, John. We appreciate you. You like South Park. See, South Park's too much now. Back in the day, I like South Park.
Yeah, South Park back in the day was the shit.
But, I mean, that's the thing, though, right? Like, it's always, like, we did a show way back in the day, the Landon Dillon show. Remember we did the Zodiac?
Yeah, dude. And, like, we did the Zodiac, and then, like, 4 days later, they cracked one of the ciphers.
We did. So we did the Zodiac on a Friday. And I was like, listen, it's a lot. We're not going to talk about the ciphers. Sure enough, we do the show. We don't say anything about the cipher. We bring it up, but we don't really dive into it. Right. Monday, fucking Reddit cracks the code.
Yep. And dude, our show blew up after that.
Oh yeah,
it was fresh.
If I remember right, the order it went that show, and then it went us interviewing Jay, and then it went us interviewing your gambling guy. The
gambling guy ended up beating Jay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but originally that's how it was, and then just over time.
Why? Every time we're on air, we just talk about old shows that we did because we suck at new shows. We're terrible at new shows. No, I don't think this is. By the way, I would like to. I don't think that the BTK show that I'm doing is too terrible. Only because I'm by myself. Like this shit's not.
No,
this shit's not easy.
And I was certainly not prepared to talk about BTK. So, hey, it is what it is.
Well, but that's no problem at all. It is what we need to get Sonia's stuff figured out. So Sonia has an error code for some reason when she tries to connect to Be Live. If it's true, Landon thinks you're lying to me, Sonia. It's okay. It's okay.
What's the error code?
It's just I guess she's loading in. She's clicking the link to join, and then it lets her type in her name. And then the second she does that, where it would normally connect you in, it just says like an error has occurred. And it did that last week, but it did that the last time we were on air, but it started prior to that. She
might need to change her browser.
We tried everything. Trust me. She says, "Do I need to screenshot it?" Sonia's pissed now.
See, no, Sonia hears that I'm potentially coming on at some point during the show, and she hides purposely. She runs.
Kemper was given a job in custody after he murdered his grandparents. Evaluating psychology reports it's easily checked. Yeah, so that whole deal goes into like sort of what we were talking about with the show Mindhunter. If you've never watched Mindhunter with John, if this is your whole life anyway, like if you're already doing this shit, I don't want to tell you to watch Mindhunter because I'm sure it gets to be taxing, like dealing with nothing but killers and whatever he may have. Like, oh God, this is a terrible analogy, but John's like the professional wrestlers that go home and watch professional wrestling. Like he's just so into it that like he's watching our shitty show. What are the odds of our 4 audience members that John here stumbles across this some magical way? We don't even know how he got here.
Hey, it's the power of Facebook, man.
Then they released him. Okay, so he got the job, then they released him. Wow, that's interesting. We're learning a lot about Ed Kemper. We'll do a show on Ed Kemper in the future. I don't think I've ever done a show on Ed Kemper. I have some pretty unique ones, because somebody had asked me, like, why I only have been doing mainstream cases, and I said, well, because we were trying to get our foothold. Like, people weren't watching the true crime, but now I can, do what I want. So next week, assuming that I'm on air, because there's an event happening at the cigar shop and I don't know what I'm going to do yet, will be Amelia Dyer. Then after that, we'll have the Ken and Barbie Killers. And my plan is for the 26th for our paranormal show. We do one paranormal a month. The plan is Bel Air, if she'll do it. Because you said you'd get in contact with her. Yep. December 3rd, though, we start off. Next month's is wild. December's is wild because we'll have the Golden State Killer. We'll have the death of Brian Wells. We'll have John Bonet. And then we'll have Krampus.
Fucking Krampus.
Yeah, paranormal enough. Fuck. I don't even want to do one.
How original. It's like everybody does Krampus.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Very evil bastard, yes. Well, everyone does Krampus because it's that time. I mean, what do you want me to do? I could talk about the French. They have like the 3 guys. And by the way, there's people tuning in now that are like, we had BTK content and we're already done with that. They're like, what the fuck are these assholes talking about? But no.
We need to bring back the cryptids because I know that's what you really want to talk about.
I'd like to, but no one fucking watches cryptids. That's the thing, right? So when we originally we did every other week, it was going to be paranormal, true crime. Now we're doing true crime because I'm not big in the paranormal, but I'll do it once a month if people will watch, and I know that there's an audience that that.
You can keep this one doing the true crime. We can always
do something else.
Another random one a different night.
That's your 100%. If you're down, I'm down. Like I would love to keep this just true crime exclusively, right. But I understand too that like Criminals and Phantoms, which by the way I think is a really good name for a show. I think I did really good.
Yeah, it's a good name. I think though if you add more shows, you're going to have to change this more to a network and separate the two.
Yeah,
separate the multiple shows. That's going to be your problem.
We'll think about it. I don't know if I think that's the route that I want to go. But I don't know yet, because I like the true crime, and I also do like being on air and doing this stuff, even if Sonia's not on air with me. My co-host has abandoned me.
Look, I mean, really, the only advantage to going to network is that potentially pick up other shows that can go other nights of the week.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it just brings everybody together.
what was your take
But
on Bundy? Ooh, okay, this is an interesting question because I have to word this very carefully. For as terrible as Ted Bundy was, we learned a lot about the human psyche from Ted Bundy. We learned quite literally that people are willing to forgive mass murderers and rapists as long as they're good looking. Like, we learned from Ted Bundy that people will, oh, thank you. You're sharing it. We appreciate that, John. We learned from Ted Bundy that people will forgive you if you are a good looking person, no matter what you do.
that's why I get away with everything.
And of course, he would go on to, I believe, if I'm correct, if my memory serves me, and I haven't looked into the Ted Bundy. I don't watch the shit on Ted Bundy, and I don't watch the shit on Dahmer because I find it depressing. Like, the last thing that I watched on Dahmer was My Friend Dahmer, because I thought that was a pretty interesting take on it. But like, yeah, my thing with Bundy is, once again, an intelligent guy, a piece of shit, a monster, but an intelligent guy who, didn't he do his own trial? Didn't he defend himself?
I don't think so.
Maybe someone will
I
have
think
the
he
answer.
attempted to in the beginning, but then
And then he had called someone in.
yeah.
I could see that.
In a lot of cases, though, some states will make you have representation whether you use them or not. You
Yeah.
still have to have them.
Well,
there.
I think that's
Maybe
what happened
that's
with.
what it was.
I think that's what happened with Darnell Brooks, though, recently.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
he? Because his whole
yeah,
thing,
he wanted to defend himself.
which, by the way, he's an idiot. Only because, and I'll circle back to your question. He's an idiot because his whole case was that there's a difference between government Darnell Brooks and regular Darnell Brooks.
Yes.
And that government Darnell Brooks was being charged, so regular Darnell Brooks doesn't have to serve the time.
He went into this weird, like, sovereign citizen mix.
Yeah, he's an
like
idiot.
with this thing. It's funny. It's like he watched way too many YouTube videos.
During the time of COVID, when those folks went and built their own community, what was that called? When they like took over town square or whatever, and then everyone got robbed. And
fuck, what was that called? Yeah, I don't know. It'll hit me in a minute.
Like, that's what his fucking defense was. His defense is like, I'm a sovereign citizen. That's such a weird.
Yeah, like, he fought the whole time. Like, you don't have jurisdiction over me. Like,
well,
that's his whole thing.
Then he like threatened. He threatened the judge and shit. Like, he's a wacky guy.
Oh yeah.
Was a paranoid psychopath.
But I mean, at the end of the day, dude, he knew he was done, so he was making a spectacle. I mean, you got to think, if that's your last go out, right? Like, hey, make it a big show so people will write you, and
But that's the whole thing, right?
Get money out of it somehow.
Is there anyone who's on his side though? Like, I don't think anyone was like, "Oh, he's innocent."
Bro,
really?
There's people on. Oh yeah, no matter who you talk about, there's people on their side. For some reason, the government screwed him over. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. That's the issue with Ted Bundy, right? Is that so many people, and same thing with the Night Stalker, Ramirez, is that these guys fangirls would show up to their trial. Yeah. And now, if you know the Menendez brothers, Menendez, whatever the fuck they were, they had the super trial before OJ, if you remember, Landon.
Yeah.
There are people who think they're innocent. I think, as a matter of fact, there's a Netflix documentary about why they're innocent coming out, which is just fucking insane to me.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the real question. So with all these shows on Netflix and stuff about these guys, do you think that's creating more people like this? Of course it is.
Of course it is. Listen, I think, once again, bold statement, I think there are more serial killers now than there have been at any other point in time in history. And I think a lot of these people, we don't know who they are. We don't even have a clue. You can tell you're getting old when the judges look hot. That's a weird thing, though, because judges, like, when I think of judges, I'm thinking of Ruth Ginsburg. Like, fucking, then you turn on the goddamn Parkland trial, and it's like, oh my god, who's this lady?
Told you she could throw cuffs on me anytime.
I saw you. By the way, thank you for dropping in. That got like 215 views. That that coverage.
You gotta pick up those current events. I didn't see it till you were like already 30 minutes in.
Yeah,
I didn't get a notification.
Well, that's the thing, is that I did that one completely random. It caught me.
Oh, here we go.
Jerry, welcome, my friend. Welcome.
Jerry refused to answer us on the last podcast when we tried to bring him on.
Yeah, Jerry doesn't like us. Jerry decided, fuck these guys. But no, like that's there's so many trials that I want to do, and there's a couple of trials that are going on now. But the thing is like, you have to get lucky. It has to be a mainstream trial, because like there's a trial right now on some ski murderer or some shit, where he killed a couple people, basically, is his thing. And like he's on trial right now, but like he's like 40 days into his trial or some shit. Like it's been going on for 40 days. And it's like, well, you don't want to pick up at the end of a trial or in the middle of a trial, but you also want it to be something sort of mainstream so people are interested. But once again, also, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm sort of just giving my views as an individual.
We really failed. We should have been on the Depp Heard one. I mean, I watched every second of that case that was broadcast.
But once again, I didn't have the platform yet. I didn't make the platform yet.
But that's where, you could have brought people on, because so many people were watching that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. How and that's the other. Okay, so great point being brought up, right? How many of these guys who do this shit are severely mentally ill?
Or just faking it?
And not, well, I mean, a lot of them fake it. Like, we know that with, like, Son of Sam was,
Right.
He said that the neighbor's dog told him to do it. And then he recanted it. And then he recanted the confession. Like, that's the thing with these guys. They get to just go back and forth. The only guy who's been like, yeah, I did it and I do it again, is the Unabomber. Ted Kaczynski was like, yeah, fuck those people. And then he wrote and they all have manifestos. They all write books.
Of course, there's money.
Well, but it's the same thing. Like all the ones that are like religious people that do this shit too. Like fucking God, what's his name?
Oh, the religious ones are the worst.
The fucking the one after Ruby Ridge, Waco. The guy from Waco had a manifesto. I can't remember his name. I want to say it's John something with a K. I don't remember though.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He had a whole ass manifesto. And Son of Sam had a fucking book thing. OJ, which once again, he's not guilty. I get, once again, the eyes of the court a little bit different than the eyes of the people.
Right. He's guilty.
See you, Jerry. Thank you for dropping in, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate you, bud. Hey, call me tomorrow.
But yeah, like how many of these guys, we talked about this a lot in the paranormal shows, like how many people are in prison right now and they're severely mentally ill, and how many people are being how many people are having exorcisms done and they're just severely mentally ill.
Oh,
Ted was schizophrenic. You know why this is good to have a person like John on? Because when I talk about the FBI profilers and shit, like he knows, like this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about. So that'll be good. That'll be beneficial. But I'm excited. There are a couple of shows that I'm excited to do. I'm excited to do more of the underground ones, but I am excited to talk about John Bonet because the anniversary is coming up. And
I'm more interested in the underground ones because, like, I feel like to some degree, you just beat a dead horse when everybody's done the same shit over and over and over.
But I think too that the public likes hearing about those. There are some that I don't think I'll ever do. Like, I don't think I'll do Dahmer. I don't think I'll do Bundy. There would have to be something very major that I would do it. Because sometimes when you're David Koresh, that's it. Yes. I thought it was John. Thank you. Yes, David Koresh was, of course, once again, a psychopath. Fucking John's great. I love John. Thanks for viewing, John. But yeah, Koresh had the goddamn. Didn't he think God was talking to him or some shit? Mm-hmm. Didn't he think he was one of those guys? Mm-hmm. And then you have the People's Temple. You had Jones. Did you just throw your cigar?
Yeah.
Where the fuck did that land?
Outside.
Oh, okay.
I got a door
open.
right here.
I was like, what the fuck? This asshole could catch the whole house on fire.
No, my whole freaking room is like filled with smoke right now. So open this door.
Yeah. So once again, yeah, John Jones, which I was just getting into, Joey. Thank you. Fucking the People's Temple. The first time in American history that a member of the House or Senate was killed in the line of duty, which is a wild statistic. If you really think about it, how like well we protect those people, and we didn't that particular time, that would be one to talk about. But that's like the one. Anytime you're dealing with kids, and anytime you're dealing with like mass suicide, you have to like Jim Jones. Fuck, did I say John Jones? What am I? I'm an asshole.
Jim Jones, he's the Kool-Aid guy, right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, the Kool-Aid guy.
That's what I'm saying, John. Yeah, he said that it was the dog, but he later admitted it was a lie, and then he recanted saying that basically. But yeah, 100%, he did that shit because he was a terrible person. No dog was telling him to fucking do it. But yeah, the whole thing with Jim Jones of the People's Temple is he was using these people basically for like slave labor. And he would tell them, like, you're free to go at any time. Well, then a bunch of them tried to escape and he killed them. So then we sent, I think it was a senator. We sent a senator over to be like, hey, we're here. If you guys want to leave, come on. They sent a trailer full of people to shoot up the plane. They killed everybody. And then they had the Kool-Aid. And there's the clip, and it's a fucked up clip on YouTube. You can look it up if you haven't heard it, where everything that he said was recorded because he had a PA system.
Yeah.
And so you can hear, it's like 3 hours where he's like, drink up, the old and the children first, and we're going to meet our God. And it's like, holy shit.
Some crazy stuff, dude.
So Koresh and Jones are the same profile. I mean, yeah, that seems to fit with the religious leaders, right? Like that's a profile that seems to fit for those guys. And then I'd like to talk about, but the issue, if you talk about Waco, right, then you have the 2A people, Second Amendment people, who they're like, oh, well, that shouldn't have happened in the first place. You can't talk about Ruby Ridge because it's the same fucking deal. It's this sovereign citizen bullshit. Like, yeah, these guys were gearing up for the apocalypse with 80 billion guns. Why does the church have 80 billion guns? Oh, well, the apocalypse. Well, who are you fighting in the apocalypse? God? Well, no, we're fighting the demons. What the fuck is happening? Like, that's the shit. But you offend people when you do those shows. John Bonet is going to be a hard one to do, just because we do have a sense of humor on this show. But a little girl was fucking murdered. Like, that's rough. You know what? What's something I do want to do, and I don't know if people would watch it. So you guys that are watching in the comments can tell me if you would. I want to go back, like how I watched the last day of this trial. I want to go back and watch old trials. Like, I want to watch OJ. And I want to watch the Casey Anthony trials.
That would actually be cool.
You think so?
I'd be down to do that.
I want to watch the Casey, because I grew up, I was like 5 or 8 or so. I was not old when the fucking Casey Anthony was happening. The Temple OS, this isn't a joke this time. That would be something I would be glued to. The Temple OS, are those the fucking...
Temple OS.
Are those the ones that thought that the meteor was going to pick them up, Joe? Am I going to learn something from Joe? That's a first. John says seriously, and I don't know. Oh, okay. He says, a friend of mine died at Waco. He was recruited from Manchester, England.
Dang.
Jesus Christ, man. I'm sorry to hear. Well, I'm sorry for our jokes. First off, I didn't mean to, upset you. That's rough, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Invented Ticketmaster. What?
I
haven't heard about this. I don't either. Dude.
I know nothing about this. Might be one to do. Joe, right, is this seriously not a joke?
Temple OS.
He's fucking with me. He has
to be.
I'm going to type in real quick, and I'm going to see what the fire-breathing Google says.
Yes, please, for the love of God, just get rickrolled right now.
It is a real thing.
Oh, it is.
It's a biblical-themed lightweight operating system designed to be the third temples prophesied in the Bible. It was created by the American programmer Terry A. Davis, who developed it alone over a course of a decade after a series of manic episodes he later described as a revelation from God.
See, why does everybody just, all you have to do is say that God told me, and then you can have a cult following. Why is that? I don't understand.
Was an American programmer created in the public domain operating system. It's an unusual undertaking for one person. As a teenager, he learned assembly language. Holy shit.
All right, we're saving it. Saving it. Don't touch it no more. That'll have to be a sideshow.
So, okay, this is a question then. If you have an answer, John, did they scout people in England? Because when I think of the People's Temple, I mean, I know that they scouted people, but I didn't know that they were that wide reaching, that they were like in other countries scouting people. That's wild. We're learning a lot on this episode, Lynn. Who would have thought our show would be educational?
I would have never guessed. I mean, you remember back in the day when we had like old wrestlers doing this kind of shit for us?
What is that?
Shingle. Look at these
I know.
Holy sheep shit on a shingle. Look at these fucking two. We got Landome and Dillhole show. Well, fuck these two. These two cringe carnivals are fucking failing it times 12. I mean, goddamn, motherfucker. Can you guys even learn how to do a podcast? Speak into the microphone. Just pretend it's a giant cock. You know you want it right in front of your face. Oh, holy shit. I should bury your podcast shovel style. Because you know what happens to the Landon and Dillhole show? You two motherfuckers just made the menu. And I'm going to put you animals on a fucking table. And if you're not down with that, we got 3 words for you. Eat it. Yeah.
Wow. I forgot about that. I forgot that one existed.
We're really growing up here, man.
We are. No, but I mean, that's the goal. The goal is like, I want to do a serious show, but I also want to keep that same sort of lighthearted. And look, it's a difficult thing to do. It is, admittedly, and you're going to piss people off along the way, and you're going to upset people if you mean to or not. It happens. Like, that's why, once again, it's hard. It's hard when you deal with rape. It's hard when you deal with kids. It's hard when you deal with mass murder. Like, it fucking sucks. But there again, you know, a lot of these shows are just so serious that it's not entertaining when everyone's fucking depressed, you know?
Yeah. That's why it's really, they got to be 2 separate shows. You can't really mix it with something that's real life like this.
John says he can send the evidence. No need to do all that, buddy. We believe you 100%. I mean, unless Landon wants to see evidence, I believe you. Yeah. If you say that you're, man, that's fucking wild. I didn't know that they were doing that. Like, I knew that they were recruiting actively. I didn't know that they were like branching out. That's wild when you think about it. Wow. Do you think, Landon, that like, we were talking about serial killers earlier. Like, I think there's probably more serial killers now than there have been at any other time. Do you think that cults are in that same boat, that there's probably more cults now? Like, you look at like some of these pyramid schemes where people are just in it to make money, and even they're culty. And then you look at some of these religions and they're culty. It's like, how many cults do you think are out there we don't even know about?
Yeah, I guess you could say it would make them more prevalent. I think, you know, just off the rip, just kind of thinking about this, I think it would be easier for them to get bigger, just because of the internet, social media. But I don't necessarily think that means that there's more of them. Maybe just the ones that have been around are just bigger. I don't know. I kind of see what you're saying though with some of these different schemes.
Even some of these dudes who do like YouTube though, like their YouTube channels are just a way for them to prey on people. Like, would that be considered a cult? Like, it depends on what your definition is, of course. But like, my thinking is that, like, I remember a couple years ago, and I don't remember the channel or anything like that, but there was a YouTuber that like Chris Hansen went and fucking investigated because what the guy would do, what his MO was, is he would like find like these 13-year-old girls that came from like bad homes who were fans of his. And he would be like, oh, well, you should come live with me. And then he would make them get emancipated. And
I remember this.
I want to say he would sign on as like their guardian. And then he would use these women for, whatever terrible things. Like, that's culty. It might not be like an organization, but this is a dude who has, seemingly this massive group of followers who are blindly entrusting him.
I don't know. I kind of think like a cult is more of like, because it's a fine line of just calling it brainwashing versus a cult, right? Like a cult to me has almost like a leader or a clear direction.
They have like a figurehead. Yeah, right. No, I see what you're saying.
As to where you could totally just be brainwashing someone with no vision or no goal. You know what I mean?
I'd like
almost get the same results as well.
Well, that's like the whole deal with like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
Do you know where Stockholm syndrome comes from?
Stockholm?
If you're actually accurate. So, if I remember right, it's Greenland or Iceland. It's one of those countries. Maybe no, I think it's Sweden. I think it's Stockholm, Sweden.
Yeah, Stockholm, Sweden. Yeah.
A guy went and he robbed a bank or something like that. And then there was like a standoff, and he ended up staying with these people for like a decent period of time.
Yeah.
Well, what ended up happening is the victims started like being cool with the criminals, and they were like, hey, we don't want to press charges on this. What the fuck was that?
Oh, that was me turning back on the screen.
He was like he became in favor of these people. Like they were really big with him. And he was really big with them. And legitimately, they didn't want to press charges. Like they didn't want the police to apprehend this guy. And that's where Stockholm syndrome comes from. And of course, we see that more commonly now with like, what was it? A couple months ago, that police officer that broke out that criminal, Vicky White, I think was her name. I don't remember the guy's
from like
name.
Alabama or something, right?
Yeah, where she had gotten him and broken him out of prison. And then like their plan was like to just live happily ever after. Of course, they were apprehended because it was a huge manhunt.
Right.
But
you ain't getting away from that.
Oh no, not that size. Like once, see, there's like the thing with like Amber Alerts and whatnot is like a lot of those Amber Alerts sort of go unchecked just because it's not national. But the second it hits like national, like when Fox, NBC, and CNN are all like, hey, we have to find these assholes, you're fucked. Because now everybody's on the watch.
Unless you have somebody on the inside, you're done. Somebody that can be your eyes and ears and go get you stuff. And it's the only way you're getting around it. But I mean, even now, dude, like, even if they're driving a vehicle that's tied to your name, like with all these cameras and stuff all over the roadways, don't think for a second that the government's not using that all the time.
I think that's how they found those two.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Is that there was they had cameras of the vehicle they were in, and they knew that they had like dyed their hair or like
they're tracking your ass everywhere you go.
But I mean, even then, it took them a minute to find them.
Oh yeah.
But that's like sort of backtracking. You like the idea of going back and watching old trials and
I think
doing
it'd be
that?
cool. I think it'd be cool.
I
think it kind of almost takes away because you kind of know the outcome, right? So to some degree, it kind of takes away from the excitement of watching all through. But at the same time, you can really go back and be like, okay, this is how they got to that conclusion.
Yeah. And I think too, the thing is like when you watch that shit in real time, like the Casey Anthony case, I was a child.
Oh yeah.
So maybe my opinions have changed. Like maybe watching the trial, I'll be like, oh, this is how she got off. I think she did it. I still think that as an adult, Right. But I think maybe rewatching the case, you'll be like, oh, fuck, this is where they goofed the floof on this one.
Right.
But if that's something people would watch, I'll do it. And I take suggestions. Like if the audience has a topic they want us to do, I'll do it. Like I do the research and whatnot, I'll do it. And I know Sonia. Yeah, but you're also a busy boy. I mean, of these shows, how many of them are you really going to make, you know?
We'll see.
Yeah. You're a busy
I mean,
boy.
if you do them next month after like the second week, then I'm good for the rest of
I
the
mean,
year.
like I said, I do a show a week, you know, unless I have to work, in which case I just tell everyone, hey, no show.
Yeah. Do you have a set schedule?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
okay.
I
You're
have
set
I have
too.
it written. I have for the next 2 months. For the next 2 months, I have written down. But here's the thing with my. Oh, you mean my work schedule? Yeah.
Yeah.
So my work schedule, I'm part time.
Okay.
But the reason that that's important, right, is if one of the other guys has to call off or something like that, I go in and fill in for their hours because
Right.
there's no one else, you know.
Right.
So I have a set schedule, but I mean, shit happens. I have to go in, and
Right.
Saturday's one of those days where like it's a necessity. If someone needs to be in there, like
Yeah.
someone has to be in there. So I can't always get home to do the show. Like next week we have an event, and I don't know if I'm going to be home to do the show. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Um,
So Sonia's gonna have to alone.
Yeah, no, so I wouldn't make her do that.
You better. You better make her do
Here's the
it.
thing. Well, here's the thing. I'd have to give Sonia my login, and she doesn't know how to do all this stuff. You know,
See, that's why we're gonna switch to Restream, and we'll have 4 logins, and anybody can just
Here's-
go live at any
I
time.
already have this program for a year.
How much
So
longer you got on this? You've been using
August.
August of next year?
Yeah.
Oh, you just re-upped.
I legitimately, when they had said, "Hey, we want to do this show," I had bought it that week
Gotcha.
because I
Okay.
wanted to make sure that the ball was rolling.
Hey, I'd be right here with you, Sonia. Don't worry. I
Here
wouldn't
goes
leave you hanging.
creepy Sonia again. Sonia's being creepy again.
She was creeping the whole show. Didn't say shit.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Sonia's here to correct me when I'm wrong, but meanwhile, she's sitting there in the shadows. She's not commenting. I'm asking questions of the audience. She's not answering. She didn't even leave a like on our program. You know, a
I
shitty
don't.
co-host.
You know what? She's not a sharer either.
Wow, why do I always get shitty co-hosts, Landon?
Jerry didn't share. I don't see anybody over here sharing.
Bunch
of
of
assholes.
assholes. But no, this show's done significantly better than I thought it would.
It started out rough. I came and saved the day halfway through. But
Oh, please. Like, listen, it is, you know, it's easier to have 2 people. But I mean, I've done shows competently. I mean, by the time you joined, it was already 30 minutes in.
Well, dude, I had a birthday party to go to, dinner.
You're a grown ass man. I mean, you had a birthday party to go to.
It wasn't my birthday. It was my little niece.
But that's what I'm saying. Why are you going to birthday parties? You're fucking 29 years old.
Because I have a 7-year-old, and her cousin.
She's already 7?
She's 7 in a month from now.
Am I getting old?
Yeah, dude.
Holy shit.
She's 7, bro.
How am I? See,
my birthday is on Tuesday. I'm thinking maybe we try to pop a show sometime next week. Just a fuck off show, though.
Yeah, sure. Sonia says, "How am I creepy? I just detailed why she's being creepy, and she said nothing to rebut. Sonia's creepy." But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll wrap up because we've done an hour with you. I did half an hour.
Yeah, let's wrap
people
up.
Are winding down.
I've got video games to play.
Oh, you're back to playing video. What you playing?
Borderlands, the only thing I play.
You've been playing that game for like 10 years.
I know. Well, they brought out Wonderlands, and I finally beat that. But I just went and so I bought Borderlands 3 when it came out like 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But when it was released, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. It was so buggy you couldn't play.
Well, now it's modded, so everyone just has modded guns.
Well, I just threw my shit away, I guess, because I can't find it. So I literally went and picked it up at GameStop just because I needed the disc. I already have it downloaded, but I need the disc. And it went from I paid $100 for this game when it came out, and it's down to $14 now.
Yeah, I mean, literally
the most hated game in that franchise. But I'm giving it another try. It's the only one I haven't beat. So
really quick, the schedule. Next week, if we're here, we'll have Amelia Dyer. That'll be an interesting show because it's sort of more underground. I think that there will be a lot to learn for a lot of us. The week after that will be the Ken and Barbie Killers. And to end the month, we try to do, at the end of each month, a paranormal topic if we can. Our goal is to talk about Bel Air. assuming that works for Landon's schedule, my schedule, if Sonia can get on, Sonia, you bitch, and we may have a special guest who can also make it, hopefully.
Yeah, even if it doesn't happen on that date, we're gonna make that happen.
Yeah,
this month. So it might even be a pop-up show.
Yeah, it might even be a pop-up show.
But there's definitely things that have got to be said and things that got to be talked about, so we can't avoid that show.
Why do I feel like you're gonna just get on here? You're not banned. See, Sonia keeps saying that she thinks she's banned from Be Live. How you can't get banned? That's not how it works, Sonia. It's not how it works. See, now I'm Team Landon again. You're lying to me. You just don't want to do a show with me. I understand. I understand how it is, Sonia. I understand. But yeah, why do I feel like you're over here like planning some shit? Like you're gonna be pissy during that show?
Oh, I'm not. I'm not. The person that's coming on is, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see it.
What about what?
That's what I'm saying, dude. We just got to do the show. We just
Wait, is it
a
at
lot
us?
of it, huh?
Is it at us?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say.
No, not at us. But I mean, obviously with other people and other things, and I don't even know the full story, so I'm kind of curious.
Okay, I mean, we'll do. I always love those shows. But I think that'll be it for us, everyone. To all the new audience members, thank you to Joe and even you, Sonia. We appreciate it. Landon, thank you for coming and saving the day. You know, these shows are much easier. It's much easier to enjoy my cigar when there's somebody else on air.
There you go. We're drinking next time, though.
Well, I don't drink much these days, but
I don't either. But it's my first beer I've had in probably 2 months.
Well, everyone, we thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic night.
See y'all.
See you when we see you.